let's talk about my current work in progress. So if you guys have been here for, you actually don't have to be here for a long time because this was actually just recently announced, but my book or current work in progress, aka Project.Siren, or also known as Her Siren Song, has been in the works. Now I definitely want to make an update video and tell you guys how it's going because I feel like you guys really get a lot of updates when it comes to my writing. On the booktube, over here on the booktube, you guys get more content about books that are not mine, and also you guys get small writing stuff but in short form, and I feel like you guys don't really get to see me writing or hear to talk about any of my projects until the projects are done or ready to be released or ready to do the next draft. So I thought it'd be really cool to do a video talking about my current work in progress, which is Her Siren Song. So for anybody who is new here, then Her Siren Song, or Project.Siren, is a YA clean fantasy novel, as most of my books are, and this book specifically follows a character named Rue and another character named Marcus, and these two are sent on sea to try and find the legends of sirens, but also to defeat sirens once and for all, because Rue has had a traumatic past with sirens, but we don't know what his traumatic past is until you actually read the novel. What's so fun about actually writing the story and kind of telling you guys what it is like as we go, because with my book The Ruined Royals, which is my debut fantasy novel, I wrote it in secret for so long and nobody knew about it until it was time to publish, which on one hand was cool because I kind of got to launch my novel for the first time, but then it became a problem because it's kind of hard to promote a book when nobody knows you were even writing one in the first place, and also when you don't have a name for yourself. And I definitely did not have a name for myself at the time, and I feel like I'm trying to build my name, but it's hard, and I feel like I'm trying to gain more attention to my videos, and so that way people can kind of see my writing process, especially with my new work in progress, which you guys, if you guys watched the video that I posted a few days ago, which is the first episode of a docu-series, which hopefully episode 2 will be coming out soon. I'm working on it, but if you guys watched that video, that you guys would know that I have been working towards multiple projects at once and not just continuing the Ruined Royals trilogy or the Broken Royals trilogy, because the thing with the Broken Royals trilogy is that with those books, when it comes to that fantasy world, it has such complex powers, and each character has a different power, and each character has a different like ethnicity, and I want to make sure that I'm serving every single ethnicity justice when I do this. They take longer to write, and that one took 3 years, and that was on my ethnicity, which the main characters are black female main characters, and the goal with the Broken Royals trilogy was to make it so that people that don't really usually see themselves in books get to see themselves in books, like in the Ruined Royals, for example. And I'll even tell you guys about the second book, which will be following another character, but I'll tell you, in the Ruined Royals, it is following 2 black FMCs, and then with the second book, we are following a Latina FMC, which I rarely do see Latinas in books, and if they are, they're usually in adult novels, so why can't teenagers kind of see themselves in books as well? So when I'm doing those books, I want to serve characters justice, and I feel like with this fantasy novel, there's not really much like ethnicity that I have to dig too deep in for. Obviously, when it comes to a culture that is not mine and people come from different places that are not where I come from, I want to do my research, make sure I'm serving people justice, as well as, since this is an entire pirate novel, and I, as someone who likes pirates but I've never delved deep into pirates, I want to serve the people who love pirates justice with Her Siren Song, which I feel like is one of the hardest things because I don't really know too much about pirates. I thought it'd be a cool idea to make a book about pirates, therefore the book about pirates and sirens, but I've never really watched a pirate movie or read a pirate book. With my research, I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to write a book about pirates that centers around pirates and sirens, I want to read up on pirates and I want to watch more pirate-related things. Now with sirens, I've always been fascinated with sirens, because there was a show on Hulu that was literally called, I think, Siren, and I was like a few years ago, I found out that sirens had to do with Greek mythology, which I found was so crazy because I usually am not involved with Greek mythology, but the Greek mythology sirens are way different than the sirens that I'm used to. So when I say my sirens, I don't usually connect them with the Greek mythology because I believe that Greek mythology has the sirens that are like birds, but I personally like to use sirens that are like mermaids, but they're prettier. And when I do this in my story, something, oh my gosh, this I get so excited about. But with this being said, when it comes to like writing the sirens and the mermaids because mermaids are in the book. I made it so that way sirens are much more pretty than the mermaids because based on, remember this is based on what I had centered around, mermaids were seen as ugly creatures and very little mermaids were considered beautiful or pretty at the sorts because they were meant to be ugly to steer captains away from wherever they were going that was endangering them. And these sirens were meant to be pretty and gorgeous to lure people towards where they wanted them to go. So I thought it was just something really cool that I want to indulge like my book in. And like I was saying, I have been reading up on sirens. There's not sirens but pirates, and there's this book, I forgot what it's called, but it's actually a classic novel, which I'm trying to get back into classic literature as well. But it's a classic novel that I believe follows pirates or a pirate that I want to read. And then I also want to watch Pirates of the Caribbean. Now I know Pirates of the Caribbean is like not an authentic pirate movie or series of any kind of sorts, but it's very well loved and it kind of will give me a gist of what people want to see when I bring up pirates in any kind of story, because you want to take some of the stuff that's most popular and kind of see what they what influenced it and what was included, because that is what you want to take from that story, take the inspiration from, not the story but the inspiration, and apply that to your book, apply those themes to your book, apply those colors to your book, all of the sorts. This is my first time trying this flavor. What is this flavor? This is wild berry. I actually like these more like poppies and olipopps, and I'm gonna try the bloom one soon, but I actually like these more than normal sodas because they have less sugar but they taste like normal sodas. Like I like these. So off topic, but right now the lemon strawberry or this wild berry have to be my favorite from Poppy. And then from Olipop, it is definitely, I love the Shirley Temple one. I have the Shirley Temple Poppy. I have not tried it yet. I really want to, but I really like the Shirley Temple Olipop, but it didn't taste like Shirley Temple. It was like a cherry cream soda. And then oh my gosh, I love the apple crisp. Now those are the ones I've tried from Olipop because a lot of Olipop flavors center on like creamy flavors, and I don't like creamy flavored sodas, so that's kind of why I was a little disappointed with the Shirley Temple, because I love Shirley Temple, but people say the Shirley Temple one from Poppy tastes exactly like Shirley Temple, so I'm excited to try that. But I was like, not for this video, I want to try something that I'm not familiar with, and I'm kind of familiar with Shirley Temple. So when it came to writing this book, the color scheme that I wanted for my novel was grays, light pastel blues, dark blues, especially heavy on the dark blues, grays, whites, blacks, and also browns. I feel like when you think of the ocean, you don't think of browns, but browns are so important, so crucial to the story, because what is a ship? The ship is brown. What are the materials that we use? Usually are metals, but they always, sometimes, most likely have some type of wooden support system or handle. And I feel like people always disregard the wood or the color brown when it comes to doing anything related to the ocean. Like, it's such a crucial and important color, and also contrast from the blue. Like, it pops, okay? The aesthetic is kind of like abandoned ship, but also ocean, and also a lot of just cool fun things, rocks, sirens of course. And I love when I do like these book analysis videos on my own books, and I kind of get to show you guys my thought process and my aesthetic with the book, and where I'm kind of like hoping for it to go and leading for the book to be in that direction, because it's just so exciting to share with you guys like what's in my Pinterest and what's in my mind, what's in my brain. But speaking of Pinterest, I'm like so upset because like Pinterest, everybody's uploading like these AI photos now, and like it's so hard to pick out good authentic photos to use for my Pinterest board, to use for my videos where I do like aesthetics and stuff. So it's a little upsetting, but I also feel like I have been in a writing slump recently, which that's kind of why I'm so excited about the spy novel, dystopian novel that I'm coming up with, because I feel refreshed and it's something new and it's outside of my genre. Like, I feel like when it comes to fantasy, I'm always focused on the world building and the complications of the genre, but when I'm doing like the dystopian novel and I'm plotting for that and I'm doing the characters, it's so exciting and it's so refreshing because I've never written in the dystopian genre before, and I've been writing in the fantasy genre since as long as I can remember. But The Ruined World was the first one that was published, but I've been writing in the fantasy genre since as long as I can remember. So it's kind of like I'm in a writing slump with this, especially since this book I wanted to like, I didn't want to publish it this year. I was like, the goal was at the very, I want to say middle of 2024, the goal was to have this book published by the end of this year. But the more I continued to write it, I was like, I don't want to rush the story. And I was like, okay, well, my deadline for this is going to be 2028 or 2029, because that's when I feel like I've had enough time for myself on the story itself. I've given myself time to write. This is just for the first draft, by the way. This is not like the full-fledged book, but the first draft, I feel like the deadline should be 2029, because I've given myself time to process. I've given myself time to look at what we're being dealt with, like cards I'm being dealt with, and it's fun and it gives me time. I don't have to stress about it, because I feel like when I was stressing myself out, like, okay, this is your deadline, the deadline is the end of 2026, I was stressing myself out and I was like, I'm only 100 pages in, I'm only 70 pages in, I'm only like 30 pages in, and I'm not gonna meet this deadline. And that continued as well. I had passion for the story, but it was hard to write when I felt like there was this deadline creeping in on me, which kind of sucks, because writing is my hobby, writing is my safe space, it's my escapism. So like, why did I try to put a label of time and responsibility over that? Now, I know I don't want to keep you guys hanging, because you guys have been waiting for a new book from me since 2025, which May 1st, guys. Broken Past comes out May 1st. Chill out. But I was like, Broken Past is a novella. Like, that's like 100 pages, 70 pages max. And people want full-fledged novels. And I was like, I want to give you guys full-fledged novels, but I don't want to give you half-hearted full-fledged novels. So I was like, what's the point of publishing her Siren Song in 2027? Because remember, the deadline for the first draft was 2026. So what's the point of publishing it in 2027 or publishing it in 2028 when it's going to be half-hearted? It's not going to be my full-fledged self and the heart and the soul that I truly want the book to be and have, instead of having the deadline for 2029 or 2028 and then publishing it like a year after the first draft or a year after the second draft is made. Because then it's kind of like, you guys can see the joy, you guys can see the passion, and you also can see the time that was put into it, and it didn't feel rushed. Like, I don't want to read a book that felt like it was written in a year just because. Now, there's one thing for a book to be written in a year, because that's just how the author was flowing. The author was flowing with the ideas, like this was the author's thing. But it's another thing for the book to be written in a year because it was rushed, and you can tell the difference between the passion and the pressure. And I was like, I don't want to publish a novel that is built solely on pressure, because where's the fun in that? Nobody wants to read a novel that is built on pressure. We want to read a novel that's built on passion, love for the story, love for the characters. So I was like, I have to take a step back. I have to let time do its thing. I have to let my brain do its thing. I have to write in my own time. Don't rush myself to write. I feel like I was definitely rushing myself to write, and that should not have been the case. I should just let it flow. And I haven't written anything related to her Siren Song in about 2 months. I went back in like 2 weeks ago and I added a single sentence. But when I say writing, I mean like written a chapter or written a few pages. I wrote a sentence because I thought I'd be clever for the chapter I was writing, but I've not touched that project. I've not touched her Siren Song in 2 months because I need a break from it. I love the story so much. I love the characters so much. I love where it's heading. I love how the plot is going. I love how, because I've already planned everything. I just need to put words onto a page, but I'm also continuing to add stuff in it because plotting is not finished. I'm close to finished, but I'm not finished plotting, and I like to write as I go. Like, it's fun. It's my own little process in my head, guys. Trust me, I've got it figured out. But I want to give it time. I want to take a break from the book, take the break from the characters, and kind of regroup. Because that's when I feel like, okay, when I come back to it, I'm gonna be excited to restart and kind of familiarize myself with the book again. And there was a time when we were writing it, and I had a series where I would write for a certain period of time, and I posted on my YouTube shorts and my Instagram and stuff. So if you guys remember that. But there was an episode where I literally was like, I wanted to delete everything on the page. And I want to start over because the passion was not there. Like, I was just doing it because I felt like I had to, I was obligated to, which, like, why am I punishing myself for my hobby, for what I love to do? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a step back and I'm not gonna write anything related to this. And I've written other stories. I have started the second book in the Broken Royals trilogy. I have done the things I need to do that are not related to her Siren Song, because if I work on her Siren song, I already know your girl's gonna be stressed. It's gonna feel more like pressure than pleasure. So I just took a step back. I'm taking a break from her Siren song, Project.Siren, but I'm in love with it. On that note, this video is over. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys for staying and waiting for updates on this novel and this project. Guys are coming, I promise. I did not mean to leave you guys hanging. I did not mean to leave you guys waiting, but I needed a break from the story, and I want to also give you guys an update and let you guys know where it is going. If you guys want to see any writing updates like as they are happening, usually they are on my Instagram story, so follow me on Instagram, link down below. And also I'm also selling discounted copies for my book The Ruined Rose on Depop. They are signed too. They're also on Etsy, signed, and it's also available on Amazon. The Ruined Rose, my debut fantasy clean YA novel, is available right now on all 3 of the platforms I just mentioned, and they're also all 3 of them in the description down below. Also, pre-orders for Broken Past are now officially open on my Etsy, so that's also in the Etsy link down below. Same link, by the way. So just go check it out. Love you guys so much. Maddie out. Kisses. Mwah. Maddie out, and goodbye.